All right, so going back, obviously, you all know my background. I was really overweight, always struggled with my weight loss and everything else. And when I became a personal trainer, one of the big things for me was to sort of like understand, what makes us all kind of tick. So although I've not done any formal stuff in psychology or anything like that, but I've read lots of stuff on it. I've studied lots of stuff on it. And I've done like certifications and things. I've done certifications and stuff around this stuff. So this one in particular was really interesting, and it was about the psychology of nutrition, which I'll get into in a minute, because ultimately, like, we all know that you need to eat healthy and you need to exercise. We all know that. There's no secret to that, but it's actually understanding how our brain ticks and what prevents us from doing it. I think it's quite important to know. And what I've done is I've pulled out all the stuff from the course I did to make it more kind of understandable into more like usable pieces, I suppose, is what I'm looking to do, right? So I can start working through it. Okay, so ultimately the hope this thing is just to understand how foods affect us psychologically, just so you're aware and you're able to take control more of your eating habits, because that's ultimately what it comes down to, all right? So understanding what we eat is essential to anybody that wants to lead a healthier life. So like a lot of us are predispositioned to like in like sweet food, or there's a time of day sometimes you get those cravings, and for me it's like when my little boy goes to bed, and everything's calmed down and the busyness is gone. That's kind of when I like get these sort of food cravings and stuff, right? So it's understanding about that sort of thing. So bit of a big slide, but I'll go through anyway. So studies show, okay, a poor nutrition, and this is not going to be a surprise to anyone, can impair your daily health and well-being and our longevity and long-term quality of life. Okay, and it just affects our ability to cope with life and stress. Our level of energy and ability to be active just plummets. So if you're not eating right, it affects everything, and it's like a vicious circle. That the more unhealthy you are, the less likely you want to do stuff, the harder it becomes. Okay, then you're at risk of real serious health and diseases. High blood pressure, heart disease, strokes, diabetes, bone disease, cancers, and there's been studies done that the level of obesity in people is directly linked to cancer. So it's because your body is always in like a state of inflammation and decay by being overweight and having too much fat. It puts you at chances of cancer, tooth decay, mental illness, all sorts of stuff. And mental illness in terms of depression, anxiety, we're talking about things like eating disorders as well. Okay, but on the flip side though, if you can eat healthy and eat well, you have more feelings of well-being and vitality. You feel better because when you're eating healthy, you kind of understand, your brain understands that you're doing something good for your body, and it makes you feel better just by default, subconsciously, increases your lifespan and quality, improves risk of diseases. We all know this stuff, all right? And again, increased capacity to cope with life. So this is a bit of a busy slide, but I want to just this is like a thought process of how we choose our foods, all right? So we got at the top there, we got influences, all right? So influences are things like your beliefs, your ideals. So some people, you can argue with them to the point that they just blindly believe that carbs make you fat, for argument's sake. That's kind of their ideal. It's really difficult to change that sort of way of thinking because they believe it. And they've believed it because they've been conditioned to believe it through media and all sorts of things, okay? Personal factors. Could be you're gluten intolerant, could be you're lactose intolerant, and then you avoid those foods because you just can't deal with them, okay? Could be lack of resources, could be you just don't understand what to do, you've never done any formal study, you're just doing what you think is right. Could be a social network, and this is really important to understand because your social network really determines how healthy you are. So there's a saying out there that says, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with, okay? And there's probably some truth to that. I don't know for sure, but like if you're hanging around with people that going on the lash, getting drunk on a weekend every time, you're going to be more likely to be like those people. And one significant thing that happened to me is that when I lost all my weight and I decided to make a healthy change, I lost loads of friends. Like some mates that I would go and drinking with a couple of times a week, all of a sudden now, that environment wasn't suitable to me, and I had to make a big decision. It was my health, or it was continuing to do the same thing I've always done and get hammered on a weekend, and then I'm not any closer, okay? And it was a perpetual cycle. So your social network plays a huge place in that as well. Then food context. Then it comes down into your personal system, okay? The value negotiations that you have, quality, money, lifestyle, relationships, and like your other half doesn't want you to be healthy. And I've told you guys before, my wife, you know, she got really angry with me early on in my days, telling me I was obsessed and all this sort of stuff. And that, you know, for some people, you could just give up. You're like, yeah, this is just too hard to deal with. But, you know, we managed it well, and, you know, she accepted that that's the way it was going to be, you know. Could be you can't afford to eat healthy. You think you can't afford to eat healthy. But actually, when you put it into perspective, eating healthy could be a little bit cheaper. Like, so if you're somebody that's eating takeaways and stuff all the time, you know, for argument's sake, if you bought a kilo of chicken breast from Wholesale Meats Direct down the road there, it's $10 a kilo. So for me, I'm thinking, if I have a 200-gram portion of meat, that's 5 meals I can make for $10. That's $2 a portion, as opposed to a $12 Subway. So they're things to consider as well. Then you got convenience. We're busy, you know, you can't prepare meals. And that's one of the things with our food solution we got with Small Foods. That will help you with that. It's just a ready-made meal delivered to your door. Again, comes down to money, convenience things, health and nutrition. Then it comes down to strategies, which is your planning, how you're preparing for it, your mindset. Then you form a choice, okay? So you can see something goes in the top, or you consider all these things, and then the choice is made, okay? So it could be so if you're like, you know, you feel a bit down in the dumps and you're in an emotional space, you got your fruit and veg, or your fruit bowl on top of the counter, and you got your snack drawer just underneath, and you get up and you stand there. There's a choice you make, and it could be the sweets or the chocolate, or the snack drawer. It could be the fruit, okay? That is it. That's what it comes down to. It is, all this is a choice, but your choice is based on all these influences that come before it. Does that kind of make sense? So next slide then. Okay. Oh, damn it. Okay. So when I did my my nutrition course ages ago, it was things that we talked about. I was talking about skills. I think you guys talk about skills, knowledge, and experience around this sort of thing. Okay. But there are certain skills that we need to learn to be healthy, all right? And it's like these are the kind of the three main ones that go to nutrition anyway. So it's planning, prioritizing, and preparing. So I talk about this all the time. You've seen my diary, you know what my calendar looks like, and you see where I also plan and prepare my meals and stuff like that, okay? You have to make time for this stuff, because if you don't, then it doesn't matter that you know that you should eat healthy, you know you should eat fruits and vegetables, and you know you should prepare your meals. If you don't plan it in, all that knowledge is pointless, because you're not actually putting things into action. And it's very easy to overskip it. You go, oh, I'm just tired tonight, you know, I'll do it tomorrow. And so this is really important. But if you logically think about it and write it in your calendar, at certain times of the week, we're going to prepare meals, we're going to buy healthy foods that you're not going to buy it in the first place. That's a big one, you know. If you go to the supermarket and buy junk food, you're going to eat it. There's no doubt about it. And then I hear the other side of the argument that, you know, but my family, you know, well, that's cool. I get that. But maybe your family need to eat healthy as well. And maybe you can do it as a collective. And it goes back to that first model there. It's all about the decisions you make. It's about your resources, your social network. It's about the convenience, the strategies, all those things. It comes back to this. And if you start talking in the negative, like, oh, well, you know, my family they just eat like that. Well, that's cool. You're never going to solve the problem. As opposed to, how can I get my family involved in my journey? How can I help my family become healthy with me? That's different conversation we have. And that's what you need to do, is planning, prioritizing, preparing, okay? Regulate eating behaviors. This is a big one, okay? So grab some water. So regulating eating behaviors is a big thing, okay? They talk about eating mindfully, and I hear this all the time. It's a bit of a buzzword at the minute. But if you eat slowly, they reckon it takes about 15 minutes for your body to recognize you've eaten some food, okay? If you're like me and wolf it down in 6 minutes, my little boy's the same, he's hungry straight away afterwards. We all feel a bit like that. But if you can, like, think about it, right, this is a skill again. If you're used to eating fast, then you need to retrain yourself to eat slowly. If you can sit down and eat slowly, think about the taste of it, enjoy the meal that you have, don't be distracted by the TV and talking and all those other things as well. You're more likely to feel fuller than you would do if you just wolf it down, okay? Then there's things about, like, recognizing psychological hunger for fullness. So there's a scale, I haven't put in the slides, but it's like the first hour after you eat, you should never really be hungry at all. The second hour, you may feel yeah, I could probably eat something. The third hour, you should be thinking, yeah, I'm going to need to eat something in the next 3 to 4 hours. Then you eat something in that fourth hour, okay? That's kind of how your hunger signal should go. So if it's not in that line, I mean, that's different for everyone, of course, but if it's not kind of in a 3 to 4 hour window, there's something you're doing wrong for sure. It could be that the meal you had before wasn't big enough. It could be that the meal was high in sugary foods that cause you to crave a little bit more. It could be whatever, lots of reasons, but you got to understand your hunger and fullness cues. So for me, I always myself an example. Like I got a pretty steady routine at the minute, and I eat my breakfast at 7 o'clock every day. Doesn't matter. By 10 o'clock, by 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm starting to feel a bit hungry, and I'll have a snack, be fruit, be whatever, protein shake, whatever. Then midday, I'll have another one. So I've eaten about every 2.5 hours, usually because I've trained at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so I'm a little bit hungry in the mornings for sure. Then come 3, 4 o'clock, I'll have another snack. I'll have my dinner at 5:36. I might have another snack at bedtime. But I know that, and I prepare for the whole day because I know these are my flashpoints of the day. Practice regulating my eating behaviors, so I'm not at any one time starving out of my mind, right? Then it's providing adequate nutrients. Okay, so it's about a balanced diet. It's eating lean proteins, it's colorful vegetables, it's healthy fats, drinking lots of water, supplementing if you need to. And I don't even worry about that too much, right? But these are the things you'll be doing. So if it's like, how do I get protein into my diet? It comes back to planning and prioritizing. You need to cook up a batch of protein and put it in the fridge if you need to. Cook up a kilogram of chicken if you want and leave it in there for the week. That's 5 lunches. All you need to do, you go into the fridge, take the lid off, put the chicken in your meal to go, and you're away, okay? So they're the things that you need to be doing. So it comes down to skills and practices. This is it. With motivation, and people say I'm not, and motivation doesn't just come and zap you in the head and go, oh, you're motivated today, let's go and do it. Okay, motivation is something you got to create. You've got to create motivation. And you create motivation by positive action towards a goal. Okay, that's literally what it comes down to. So if you want to be healthy and fit and all those things, you've got to start doing daily things that get you towards your goals. It could simply be, this week, all I'm going to do, plan out my week. It's a positive thing, okay? That will give you motivation to carry on doing it, okay? So on the very basic thing, it could be I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk, or substitute a chocolate bar for a banana, whatever that is for you, right? Then you got personal factors, physiology. So sometimes, our perception of taste and smell, will lead you to one side or the other. So for me, I got a bit of a sweet tooth. That's cool. Actually quite like savory stuff as well. So it puts me both ways. It could be emotional stress. It could be your mood. You could be emotionally eating all the time. You may not like food. You may have a phobia of carbohydrates, as we talked about just before. Whatever that is for you, but these are personal factors as well. Psychological factors. Who are we? What am I a fat person? Is that what you believe you are, or do you believe that you're just a healthy person in the making? Is a different conversation as well. Like for me, I've always been a fat guy, but I'm not anymore. I haven't been for 10 years, but I still consider myself sometimes to be a fat guy. Actually, I'm not anymore. I was not, and I probably never ever will be again. And these are things you have to overcome and think in a different space. All right. So then you got this, and you can write this down if you want to. You can watch the video afterwards, but. This is how you logically think about things, because we always do things on emotion. It's very, very easy to do things on emotion. I'm just had a bad week, let's have that bottle of wine. I've had a bad week, let's have that chocolate. I've had a bad week, I'm going to rest and not go to the gym this morning. It's all emotional behaviors. There's nothing logical about that whatsoever. I had people in the past tell me, I haven't exercised for 6 months. All right, how come? Somebody died. Oh, okay, well, that's absolutely tragic. I'm really sorry about that. But how has that affected you not exercising? It's all based on an emotional thing. It's not a logical thing. And they're more overweight than they when they started. They're more unhealthy than when they started. But in their mind, they go, oh, someone's passed away. I can't exercise now. I can't eat healthy now. It's crazy, right? But when you break it down into a logical space, you're more likely to take action on it. You think, right, okay, let's just, this is bad. This thing has happened. Let's take a step back a little bit. And let's just think about it. I'm still want to lose weight and be healthy. That's really a priority. I can't do anything about the fact that somebody has passed away, but I can make good decisions moving forward, right? So question number 1, what is good about not changing? What is it? What's it good? It could be easy. It's don't have to learn anything. It could be I'm not going to be in pain. I'm not going to have to go to work. I don't have to get up early. All right, write them all down. But what would be bad about changing? Well, what would be bad about changing? Write it down. All good. Come up with the answer. You'll figure it out. You soon figure out. And these are going to be, you know, you could go write tons and tons of lists on this stuff as well, right? So just things to peruse over and have a look at. Okay. Then you got some other external factors. Okay. Now this is quite interesting to talk about. So studies have been done on this sort of thing, and these are why restaurants and pubs are the way they are. Okay. This is how it's done. Dim, soft lighting seems to get us eating for longer and more. So if you go to a restaurant, you'll have your starter, then you might have your dinner, then you might have a wine or a beer, then you'll have your dessert. Okay, you wouldn't do that at home, most likely. Then you got social approval and peer pressure. It's very difficult. I'll use a pub as an example. It's very difficult to go to a pub with all your mates and not have a beer. Oh, have another one, you know. Very easy. Peer pressure is a big one. Smells of foods, okay, even if you're in a bakery is a good one, or a fish and chip shop, you walk past a fish and chip shop and go, far out, I could smash a bag of chips now, even if you're not even hungry. Soft music makes us eat more slowly. It just happens. The study is there. Music can create positive feelings, makes you linger a bit longer, alter your perception of how long you've been there for, alter your perception of how much you've eaten. And like I said, we're not very good at mindful eating. We're quite bad at it. Music that's familiar. So you look at supermarkets and stuff, and they play music and things in there. It makes you feel good, and then if you feel good, you might buy something that will also make you feel good, like chocolates and sweets and alcohol and all those sorts of things, right? Utensils. If you're dishing up your meals with a ladle compared to a spoon, you might eat more. Okay. Also, as well, if you're an empty plate signals to stop eating. So if you're on a buffet, this is a buffet scenario. If you have an empty plate, somebody will just fill it back, put food back on your plate because it's empty, right? But what can you do then? Okay, we'll use some of these examples. Use smaller plates for your meal. That's a big one. So if you had a really big wide plate and put the same amount of food on a big plate and a small plate, the big plate would look like it's less food. So it makes you feel a bit hungrier. So if you put food on a smaller plate, it looks like it's mounded up, and you psychologically think you're eating a bit more. Shop from a list. This is a big one, and I talk about this quite a lot. So if you're going shopping, get a list, because in the supermarkets they're designed to make you impulse buy. All right, and when you impulse buy, like the sweets and the chocolates are all right by the by the checkouts. Okay, it's all there strategically placed. I'll just have that and smash it on as I'm walking on. If you go from a list, you and stick to that list. If chocolates and sweets are on the list, you don't buy it. What I like to do as well, and I haven't done it for a while, I must admit, but we used to order our food online. So we used to get it delivered, because if you did it from the list, there's no temptation of doing it. Okay. So buffet restaurants, I would never recommend that if you're on a bit of a health journey anyway, because it's easy to smash so much food. Let your waiter clear your table, all this sort of stuff. Eating last is a good one as well. So if you're eating a meal, whatever, just let people start, have a chat, and then start eating, and enjoy the situation you're in. Okay, and that does help as well. Leave a little bit of food in your plate if you can. So if you're having dinner with somebody, they can sort of not add food to your plate if you don't even need it. And then it's all about, again, it goes back to planning, prioritizing. If you just understand what you're going to eat. So when you got food, know what you can do. I'm going to have, if you go back to portion sizes, a fistful of veggies, a palmful of protein, a cupful of carbs. And if you do that, and you know that before you go there, or before you start, then you're more likely to stick to it, as opposed to just going, I'll just pile that on and it's all good to go. All right. Then you got to understand a bit more about yourself. That's why I talk about counting your own calories. That is why I say track this stuff and do it, because you will understand about yourself, right? So we learn in a variety of different ways, okay? And just because I'm saying something doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you, okay? It's worked for me, it's worked for lots of other people, but for you as the individual, it might be different. And this is how you learn. Classical conditioning. If you keep exposing yourself to the notion that carbs will make you fat, you will eventually believe it. That's what will happen. If you think the keto diet is the best diet in the world, you will believe that. But ultimately, you need to come away and go, right, okay, all these diets work. I just need to find one that works for me, that I can do a long periods of time. And it's asking the question, how can I do this differently? How can I do it in a different way? And when you think in that mindset and you become more coachable, then you're more likely to find a solution that's going to work. Okay. Then you've got instrumental conditioning or reinforcement. I talk about this a lot as well, is that we we condition ourselves to eat when we've had a bad day, or you do it to your kids. You give your kids ice cream and sweets when they're being good for a treat, okay? That is instrumental conditioning. So what we're doing, we're teaching our little people that you can treat yourself with food and in activity if you want, because you've been good, and that's how we do it. But if you change the thinking around that and go, well, how about we reward ourselves with going for a walk after dinner instead of an ice cream to somewhere really pretty or to the beach, then your children will learn that to be active is a good thing and not a bad thing. We're bombarded with exercise being brutal and smashing us and and all of a sudden you've got this horrific pain picture in your mind that exercise and eating healthy needs to be torturous, and it doesn't. It's just because we're just bombarded with this stuff all the time. Again, you got social learning, imitation. I've done it. I've followed bodybuilding programs because they did it. I've done all that stuff, and then I kind of thought, it doesn't work, man. This is crazy. I'm not a bodybuilder. I just want to be healthy, And then the other thing is just by taking action and doing it. So it's literally going, right, I'm going to try this thing and give her a crack. And if it doesn't work for you, well, my goal is still my goal. This is just one road. I'm going to jump on this road and try that one. And then you figure out and find stuff. And that's how I did it. I did keto, paleo, Weight Watchers, and I found a way. I finally settled on a way that worked for me. And it was basically counting calories, because ultimately my diet is way more flexible than it used to be. And I have a really strong reason for it. I never want to be fat again. So that comes down to your kind of why goals as well. So food and emotions really like meshed in. A mood is a physiological state we experience that lasts at least several minutes, okay? Sometimes longer, involves energy, tension, pleasure, as opposed to emotions, which are less specific, they're less intense, and they be triggered by less specific events, all right? So if you're emotionally eating in the moment. It means that you feel that way in the moment, therefore you will eat that thing. But if you just give it a sec, give it 10 minutes, the emotion will probably disappear. And what will happen is those food cravings may disappear. That's what I'm trying to say. So try not to eat emotionally. If you're in a bad mood, it is what it is. You can't do it. But if you're like just an emotional, I just need to eat something now because I'm tired, I'm hungry, try and not do that and try and think about it, okay? Because it is important. So studies, okay? Always nice to have studies. However, with studies, they're not you. They're just studies of other people, right? But it's a good indicator of what things are happening. So a study of about nearly 1,300 people conducted by the Australian Physiological Society. 98% of the participants who had attempted to change their diet reported some success, while 22% reported their change lasted less than 4 weeks. Less than a few weeks or months, okay? So that's huge. 26% of subjects were able to maintain their change behavior for more than 6 months. So it's only a small amount of people. However, 12% of people who amended their eating habits less than 6 months ago were still maintaining the new behavior. And the study concluded that the 4 to 6 month stage is really critical to strengthening a new behavior. That is the reason the Growing Younger program is 6 months, because we want you to be able to try and reinforce this stuff within 6 months, okay? But ultimately, it's not just about, motivation to do it. It's about taking action every single day on something. And it's all about reps. To have a new habit or a new whatever, it's not just a time period that's important. It's how many times you practice that behavior within the time slot. Okay, so it's really important to know that as well. So this is what it is. So if you want to commit to doing something new, it's going to take about 4 to 6 months to learn the skills that you need, providing you do them on a regular basis. All right, and it doesn't need to be massive changes either. It just needs to be small things, little bits every single day. Over time will add up like a little domino. Okay. So obese and overweight people, okay? So generally, not always, but generally, they show lower coping strategies in order to achieve their health goals in the face of stress. We see this all the time. As soon as we get some quite obviously people with us who are overweight and all sorts of stuff, okay? And honestly, it can be the smallest thing, both that derails people straight away, because they're not very good at dealing with stress. And it's really important to know that, and that's why we try and encourage people and get people to do it, okay? They also demonstrate more negative emotions during their attempts at change. So I see this all the time as well, is that they become like angry at counting calories. They angry they got to come to the gym. They get angry because they got a thing. They get stressed, super highly stressed out. When actually all you need to do is go for a walk. And if you go for a walk, it is a positive action towards your goals, right? They also report lowest rates of self-esteem when changing their behaviors and eating and physical activity. And I was one of those people. When I was overweight, I did all my workouts at home. I didn't even go to a gym for years. I always did it at home because I was a bit like nervous about going to the gym. So, you know, and I did have a lack of confidence. I would never have been able to talk in front of you guys like this 10 years ago. Just didn't have the confidence to do it. But being healthy and fitter and stronger has allowed me to grow my confidence as well. Okay, and it's very important to understand that as well. So interestingly, the study looked at the importance of physical activity, and while the obese individual reported the highest level of health risk at not changing the current behaviors, it was the normal weight groups, the people that only got about 5 to 10 kilos to lose, that perceived the health risk was massive, and they changed their behaviors better. And honestly, that is so consistent with what we've got in Growing Younger. We see it all the time. Is that if we have somebody, let's say, and this is really generalizing, but we've had lots of clients come to us and they've been 50, 60, 70 kilos overweight. They never make it past the first week, just don't. The people that would get the most success are the ones that have about 15 kilos to lose. It's incredible to see it. If you've got 15 kilos to lose, you're kind of seen in that normal space, and you've got a better relationship with all this stuff. And when you start to come outside of that, and I've done videos on this before, it becomes really an emotional beast, okay? And it doesn't matter what trainer, what coach you're going to get. You probably, those people kind of need to see like a specialist, like a therapist or psychiatrist or something like that, because that's this. They're not dealing with things in a proper space. That's not everyone. That's just some. I've actually seen that as well happening. Okay, so that's really important to know. And yeah, it's just a help in a different way. There's no issues with it. So motivational weight control. There are many factors in our life that act as driving forces behind our behavior. And motivation is affected by our needs, expectations, goals, personality, and life experiences. Okay, and there's 3 elements to it, as far as I see it. It's intensity. How much effort do you give to a task? All right. If you don't give any intensity to it, it's not going to be anything. Direction. Where are you focusing your direction, your efforts? And if your efforts are always going to be on, your direction is always going to be on, this is hard, I can't do this, I don't want to sacrifice things, that is what you're going to be thinking about. Okay, if your direction is like I need to lose weight, I don't want to be fat anymore, I want to grow my confidence, that is where my direction went. Okay, and then it's persistence, how long you can do it for. And that's what I always talk about. Do little things every month just to get you there, because if you're not persisting with it, then you're not going to get there. Motivation doesn't just come and zap you on the head and all of a sudden you're motivated. It takes 3 elements: intensity, direction, and persistence. And these things will never really go. Okay, I go to the gym every day, 5 days a week at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I have done since my little boy was born 9 years ago. That's persistence. I do it every day because that's the only time of day I can fit it in. It doesn't impact me on my day. It could be different for you. You figure out and obviously speak to us if you need help with that as well. But this is the elements of motivation. So then you got things called Lotus of Control, which is really locus of control. And it's ultimately what you can and can't control. Okay, then there's kind of 2 things. There's an internal locus of control, okay, the belief that our own behavior influences, or externally, the belief that other things are attributed to our success. It's cold outside, I can't exercise. My wife always cooks me bad meals and I can't do it. I've got an injury and I can't do it. Okay, but internally is, what can I do to contribute to my success? I am the only person in control, as if I move, if I go to the gym, or what I eat. No one else can control that. And you need to understand that as well. You need to understand that you are in complete control of this whole thing, not somebody else. Okay, it may be a bearing on your environment, like we talk about that funny triangle at the beginning. But ultimately, we are still responsible. Okay, and it's really important to know that. And that is why I believe, like, they talk about I talk about calories. People say calories don't work. And the reason is because it puts the onus on the individual. And people like to blame people for other things. People like to blame everything for everything. People blame the government. You know what it's like. It's easy to blame somebody else and take responsibility. But the moment you take responsibility for it is the moment that you will start to make a change, because you know that you're in control. Okay, just humans. We just like to blame other people. It is what it is. Okay, but it's just nice to understand. Okay, so to do, as always, we have a little bit of a to do. Okay, again, find that one thing that you can focus on for the next month that's going to get you. So if you've got in a bit of a funk with lockdown at the minute, what is it that you can do? Don't worry about your weight. Don't worry about your weight goals. Think about your process goal. Your process goal is, what can I do daily to help me with my thing? I am going to add 2,000 steps to my walk today. I'm going to do an extra 10 squats. I'm going to plan my meals, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, but think of what you can do for the next month to get you in more of a positive space for you to be able to do what you want to achieve. All right. So that's probably it, guys. To be honest, that's my little take. So if you've got any questions, guys, I'm happy to answer any. You have to unmute yourself though.
Morning, Gavin.
Okay.
What I can just say is it took me 3 weeks to even open that Fitness Pal app because
Right.
counting calories sounded so boring it was beyond belief. But I finally did, and all I can say really is, oh my God, because by tracking everything that I eat, just opened my mind to how I eat, and what I need to do. And
Yeah.
I think I've been using it for 4 weeks now.
Good.
And it makes such a difference to how me and the family are eating. It's ridiculously surprising. Blew me away.
It's massive. Like, people just don't understand it. Like, they just don't realize how important it is. And I get it. It can be a pain to track it, but honestly, once you know, you can't unknow, So, good. That's so good. Good to hear. Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
Yeah, good. Well done. Anybody else? Oh, and look at Nicola hooping. Hey.
Multitasking.
That's awesome. Good on you.
I've got 100 days of hooping. That's what I'm doing for the month.
Oh, wow, is it? Nice. You get everyone else involved. I can't even do one hoop.
Oh, it's got all the weights in it too.
God. All right. Anybody else got any questions, or are we all happy?
No questions.
Oh, good job, guys. Awesome. Hey, good to see you guys. Yeah, I'll put a recording in the group or on the Facebook so you guys can have a look at it. Have a really good day. I will speak to you later. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Gavin.
Bye-bye. See you, man.